everyone, welcome back to Psychology of Rock. If you're new here, my name's Nina, and in today's video, I am responding to the probably dozens of comments I've gotten over the years from people who say that instead of being loyal to just one singular genre, that they genuinely like all kinds of music and want to know what that says about their musical personality. So to do this, we are going to break down what I think is the very fascinating psychology behind the three distinct listener styles and what that says about us and our relationship with music. Now, if you are a subscriber to this channel, there is a good chance that your musical taste is either predominantly or even exclusively rooted in rock or metal, because that is the theme of the channel, and I have already done a whole bunch of videos on the specific psychology behind that. But there are a lot of you who say that your playlists are kind of all over the place. So let's start with the question that I have seen in so many comments. What does it mean if someone says they like everything? Well, firstly, the question itself really needs to be clarified because there is a huge difference between people who simply have broad taste and those who truly say that they have no strong preference at all, because the latter is actually incredibly rare. When researchers scientifically measured musical preference, they found that most people do not like everything equally. In fact, studies have shown that about 50 to 70% of people have a single favorite genre that they return to repeatedly, feel emotionally connected to, and even often integrate into their sense of identity. Another 20 to 30% like several genres, but still have a clear comfort zone that they go back to. But really only about 5 to 10% of people truly do not lean at all towards any particular genre. So let's dive into these last two groups first, because they are actually two very, very different psychological categories. The first one, the more common one, is the broad taste listener. These people genuinely do enjoy a wide variety of genres, but they still have subtle preferences, and they usually have a go-to style of music that they return to when they're not sure what to play. I also want to point out here that their emotional connection is not equally strong across all styles of music. So in reality, they really do still have favorites, even if they don't label them that way. So what might that say about the type of person they are? Well, research shows that there's actually several psychological traits that are the biggest predictors of someone having genuinely broad musical taste. The first is openness to experience. People high in this trait enjoy novelty, appreciate complexity, and are willing to explore different sounds, which explains why they feel so comfortable sampling a variety of genres. This is a trait that we talk all the time about on this channel because high openness is also commonly linked to a preference for complex or extreme music like metal, but studies show that it is also commonly linked to a genuine enjoyment of musical variety. Now, another key predictor is a low need for cognitive closure, meaning that they are comfortable with ambiguity and don't really feel the need to neatly categorize music, which makes them a lot more likely to enjoy different genres. Broad taste listeners also tend to engage in function or mood-based listening. This just means that they tend to choose music based on either its purpose in the moment or for emotional regulation rather than identity. And this makes perfect sense because their musical identity is usually pretty moderate. In other words, music is a part of who they are, but it doesn't fully define them. So in short, their musical curiosity is guided by flexibility and exploration rather than by strict rules or identity constraints, which makes them very distinct from single genre loyalists. But now let's talk about the extremely rare true generalists, because they are quite different in that they sincerely have no dominant preference at all. This is another group where music tends to be also more functional rather than identity-based. It's more about setting a mood or providing background energy or simply enjoying whatever's playing rather than expressing who they are as a person or connecting to any particular social group. Psychologically, true generalists do share a lot of traits with broad taste listeners, like a low need for cognitive closure and high perceptual openness, but maybe even more so because they are unusually tolerant of almost any musical style. And because they have very low genre identity, they also have even lower attachment to musical rules and labels. On top of this, studies show that they tend to listen to music a lot less intensively, and that they're a lot less likely to follow artists closely or go to shows. They can, of course, still have a relationship with music, but it's often shallower than other music listeners who tend to be much more invested emotionally, socially, and cognitively. So again, it's not that they don't like music, it's just that it doesn't play a defining role in their lives. I think most of the time when people say that they like all genres, they in reality are probably much more of a broad taste listener, and they probably do have a lot more preferences than they think. But that's not to say that true generalists don't exist. They certainly do, as do people who do not like music at all, which, believe it or not, does make up about 3 to 5% of the population. But each of these groups are in stark contrast to the single genre loyalists out there, which is the biggest group by far. This group often experiences their favorite music as more than just sound. It's a source of comfort, inspiration, and even community. They tend to have very strong memories and emotional associations that are tied to their favorite genre, which can influence everything from the way they dress to their communication style, even to their lifestyle choices. It is not only central to who they are as a person, but it can also become a lens through which they experience their entire world. So clearly, all three groups have very different relationships with music, but they all reveal something unique about personality, identity, and the way we connect with sound. So I really hope this video finally answers your question, and I thought the research was pretty interesting. I would love to hear which of these three categories you think you best fit into, so please let me know down below. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video.